here's the deal. So a number of years ago, I gave this clinic at Belle Plaine, Iowa, and there was a lot of retired railroad guys there, and it went over very well because what I said, you know, I'm not a railroad man. I'm just going to show you the pictures. You can tell me what they're all about. And they did, and they had a good time of it. But anyway, tonight you're going to see this without the railroad men here. So here we go. So this is in Belle Plaine. And as you can see, it's very old. And I leave your mics on if you see something you want to talk about. Why, say something. And that's the Belle Plaine station, which is, as of 2 years ago, was still there. It is in pretty bad shape. There is a man who owns it, and the city of Belle Plaine was going to take and buy it. They had their engineer come over and look at it, and he said, by the time you made that barrier free, you could build yourself a wonderful brick building. They built a wonderful brick building, and they didn't bother to do anything with this. I think this area, this building here, might have been the restaurant.
Yeah, it says restaurant and lunchroom on it.
Oh, there you go. Thank you. All right, this is the East Tower, and it controlled the crossing gates and the getting in and out of the beginning of the yard. Most of these are probably off of postcards.
Mm-hmm.
Old turntable. Belle Plaine was a division point because they had a line that went north up to Mason City, and they had a line that went south down into the coal fields. So I took that one. That ice house is still there, but the last time I was there, it was a restaurant. And that's kind of unusual because it's not tall enough to actually put ice in on the top bunker. So they must have used some type of elevating device to get the ice up on top.
Mm-hmm.
They probably also used the ice there for the passenger cars, because there would be passenger trains going out of there going north and probably south at this time. And that's the big west tower, and that controlled the line to Mason City and also the line south. Another picture of the west tower, this time looking toward Belle Plaine. The old, I guess they call them harp signals, kind of interesting signals. I have since been told this is not at Belle Plaine or anywhere close to Belle Plaine. It is on that branch line, but the man who took it labeled it that way, and they say that's incorrect because there was no washer in Belle Plaine or near Belle Plaine.
Ron, what is that scree pile in the background?
The pile in the background is probably the stuff that they washed out of the coal. You know, there's all dirt and stuff like that. So I presume that the coal was, when it was mined, it came to that washer as mine run and then was washed out. Watch here being south of Belle Plaine. I remember right, Irving is north. There's nothing in Irving anymore. There's not even a town anymore. There's Elberon. That's where a big wreck was, because if I've got that right, that's where the Milwaukee and the Northwestern crossed. the Northwestern going to Mason City. Of course, the Milwaukee is the east and west main line. I guess that's the station. No comment.
It's an old boxcar.
I don't think, well, yeah, maybe it is a boxcar. Cloutier. Cloutier being north of Belle Plaine. And this is Traer. And that being north. And when you leave Traer, you're out of the county. So these pictures will basically only be in Tama County. Blairstown being east of Belle Plaine. Interesting old elevator in the background, what it looks like a New York Central Herald on the boxcar.
Yeah, I think so.
And that one I took of Blairstown. Luzerne, which is east. That one was harvested out of the University of Iowa. Pile drivers are always interesting. I'm not sure where that was at. Something about the Northwestern bridges. Now, they had a lot of pile bridges, but before 1900, most of the bridges on the Omaha-Chicago line were made with limestone rock, cut limestone. About 1900, things started to change and everything was concrete after that. The Milwaukee had, most of their bridges are concrete. Those cut limestone bridges can still be found out there. They've have done some reinforcing on them, but there are still a number of them in Iowa. I saw that train many times. Every time we went down to get the cattle down and along the river bottom, why that train would go by, it always was around 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock in the afternoon. Of course, that's wintertime there. There's a nice picture of the snowplow. That one may not be in Belle Plaine area. That might be who knows where.
It
There's
says
Sleepy Eye, Minnesota down at the bottom there.
Yeah,
Oh yeah,
9.
yeah. That's not in Tama County.
That snow might have wound up there.
Yeah. Yeah, the way that plow was throwing it.
Yeah.
Now, you know, they always say the Northwestern all had the upper, is it upper quadrant? What am I saying on the semaphores? But that one's a lower one, and they must have also had both upper and lower. And I see that Nelson's on. You can help me on that one. You got to turn his mic on. No? He's not listening to me. That's Long Point. There's nothing there now. That's just a plowed field. Long Point's one of its claim to fame was a circus train wreck. Apparently, they were backing into the siding when another train came along and hit it. Now, during that time, of course, my dad was born around that area, or not born there, but lived in that area. And he said, oh, they buried elephants. So every year, these people were down there digging around there, trying to find the tusks.
Yeah.
So I found the newspaper clipping of it. No, there was no elephants. Just a couple of horses died. There's Chelsea. its claim to fame is that it had they had a pharmacy there that had two crows. The guy had all kinds of oddball stuff, but the crows would talk to you if they wanted to. And it's kind of interesting, like a parrot almost. If you
Yeah.
never heard a crow do that, it'll do it.
Ron,
Yes.
it's Ron. I had a pet crow and I actually taught it to speak.
Yeah.
It could only say 2 words, but it could speak, and it would come down and fly and land on my shoulder and say hello.
That's about what those crows would do. They would say hello to you if they were interested. So anyway,
Yes.
this is Chelsea in '96, a picture I took. So the big wreck at Chelsea. I really don't know anything about that, but anyway, I found the picture. Now we move up to Tama, and this area right here on the right is the water treatment plant. And my Uncle Chris worked in there, and I remember going in to see him. Dad and I would go in to see him. And inside there was a steam engine that's what they did the pumping with. The water around there is, it needs to be treated. So they would treat it with lime and to get so that it wouldn't clog up the flues in the steam engine. And of course you had one big tower and here's the other one down here. And I've made that model and using the old evaluation, it'd tell you everything, the size of all the wood and all of that. The one thing it did not tell you very much is exactly how the treatment plant worked. That did not get into that very much. I would love to find the original picture of this, but look how many cars that those people had. They had a minimum of 6 cars, and they were all leased from the Northwestern Refrigerator car line, which of course was not Northwestern Railroad. And the Neal Company was a major producer of blue ribbon butter, which was highly sought after in Chicago. It was made with sour cream. We would milk the cows all week long. We didn't have any refrigeration. Just put the milk or the cream down, not the milk. Just put the cream down in the cellar. So on Saturday we would take it in and we would sell the cream, and it'd be sour. That's what they made their butter out of. They also would buy eggs. We would sell the eggs to them, and they would buy old chickens. When the hens would stop laying, why, that's where the hens went. And they were made, I'm not sure exactly how they finished them, but I assume they probably cooked them and canned them. Neal was such a big creamery that they actually, the literature, they brought in cream from clear up by Minnesota and all the way down in Missouri to this creamery. That's the Northwestern Depot in Tama. And the area over in here, of course, was the freight house, and the restaurant was in here. There was a track right here, and that goes on, that's the Iowa Northern track, which is another CNNW line. And of course, these are the main line here, double track. Okay, so this train over here is going up toward Alden, and I don't know how far it went, but it's possible that train could have got clear into South Dakota because there were tracks that way. This track goes back toward the elevator and things. That's just an industrial track. I found that the bus line was interesting. I don't think there's been very much written about the bus lines that the railroads had, but this was part of the Northwestern Stage Line. I don't know if anybody on here knows anything about that or not. So now we'll do a little Milwaukee road stuff. This is Tama. This is the tower west of the depot. And the Northwestern Milwaukee owned both, there's about 50-50 on the owning of that tower. In the, I guess it's in the 70s, why a Milwaukee train came through there and derailed, and took the tower out. And when they took the tower out, there was no traffic from Tama to Cedar Rapids on the Milwaukee. So the Northwestern, or the Milwaukee came onto the Northwestern there, and they went all the way to Cedar Rapids before they went back on their own track. And the Milwaukee was abandoned that piece. See, this is a Union Pacific train. Whoops. I'm sure that's a Union Pacific train there. The Northwestern had all of the Union Pacific traffic until about, I think, about 1955, when they lost it to the Milwaukee. This is the original Milwaukee Depot, and that building still stands today. It's a house on a farm west of town. This was their the depot that I remember on the Milwaukee, and the Milwaukee actually had a very good passenger business because of where it went. It went, you know, you could go up into the Dakotas on it. You went west, and then they split the train, and one train went north up to Sioux City, and the other train went on to Omaha. That's the old Gladstone store right across the highway from where Highway 30 is, on Highway 30, US 30. And we lived on the south side. This is on the north side. At the time the picture was taken, you can see there was a barn there, and when we lived there, the barn was gone. And there was gas pumps there. They had the old hand pump gas pumps, and they kept one of them clear to the very last, and they used it for kerosene, even after they had electricity there and pumped gas with, you know, what you'd consider a more normal modern gas pump. They lived upstairs. The post office was in there, and the people who ran it in my time was named Rucker. And the young guy, he was about 15 years old. Every night at about 2 o'clock in the morning, he would pick up the mail sack, take it down to the railroad, and hang it on the mail crane. And the train going east would pick up that mail sack. There was no pickup on mail going west. So everything went to Cedar Rapids. And I assume if it went west, it got resorted there and went back west again. Went east first to Cedar Rapids. And of course, they would throw off a mail sack for anybody that had mailboxes inside the store. This was the elevator, and there was the depot. I don't remember the depot. It was gone before my time. And the guy who owned the elevator, again, Rucker, the old elevator was starting to sag. So he bought the depot, and they literally tore it down and took lumber out of it to reinforce the elevator. And then they sold the brick and made enough money off the brick to pay for what they paid on the elevator. I would suspect at this time, Milwaukee might have been a single track railroad, because it doesn't look like there's room here for 3 tracks. There it is after I'd left home. This is about 1960. And up here, I remember when they built all of these bins, I was still in school up there at the time. And they had a bin here. Right behind here was a scale house. this area here was the cob where they had cobs come out. And there was a very narrow building here that the husks and stuff would come out of. And of course, this door here was where they would load boxcars. They never did retrofit this for loading covered hoppers. They did not have a scale in here. And so that when they sold corn or anything, they sold any kind of grain, it had to go to a scale to be weighed so that they could pay the shipping charges. So here you see the two main lines, and here you see the siding that goes by the, oops. Sorry about that. There it is. Okay. Now I gotta go back. Okay, so there we are. That's about all I have on that. Here is Vining again on the Milwaukee. And Elberon on the Milwaukee. It also tells about how many, the grain elevator there. There was a creamery in Elberon. There's a picture of the village. Not a very big flat town. Had a big wreck on the Milwaukee at Keystone. That was back in the days when you had a wreck that everybody came down there to look at it.
Big wreck.
It was. Looks like it was head on,
Yeah.
unless this is two different ones. The reason I say that, look how those are baited together, but look how it is here.
Yeah. Yeah.
Makes me think there might have been more than one wreck.
Somebody didn't want to yield the right of way there.
Well, Ron, the head-on collision is between what look like two 442s, and that other one where the locomotive is on its side is a 460.
Yeah.
Right. So they were carrying hogs, and these hogs escaped out of the stock car. Of course, probably a number of them were killed too. But they had to round them up, of course, and pin them up to send them on. Nice picture of the mercantile. Those old pictures like that are really get back in the times when we really model more. I would bet that was the mercantile. I bet that was a lumber yard also. Could have been a coal shed. When I move the mouse, that's what happens. This could be a coal shed in here. Every once in a while, they would come through and with a burner and to get rid of the weeds, in the right of way. And one time they came through with an oiler, and the St. L had an oiler, and I got enough information that if I could ever live long enough, I would build it. But the oiler didn't work out very well. It took care of the weeds okay, but can you imagine what the right of way was like after that?
Yeah.
It was terrible to walk around, and everything was nothing but oil.
Ron, was that a self-propelled?
No, there'd be an engine behind it.
Okay, thank you.
And of course, if you had to follow the weed burner to put out the fires. So I got a little bit of Rock Island. It was a little Rock Island on the north side of Tama County. So there's Traer. Bob, do you get as far as Traer?
Yes.
Have you ever seen that picture?
No, I haven't.
If I could find it, I'll send it to you, but you got to remind me. And
Okay.
I'll sure to forget it.
Yeah, well, earlier you showed a picture of Northwestern. I thought you said that was Traer. The,
That's true.
They-
The Mason City line went through Traer.
it did.
Yes.
Okay,
It was
the only
east-
map I've got doesn't even show the Northwestern line through Traer.
It was east of town,
Okay,
and the depot was there in the 90s as it wasn't being used, but I think they had used it as an office and an elevator that was out there. I
okay.
could never figure out why nobody picked up this railroad, because Traer has a huge elevator today. I mean, they've got it is mammoth. Everything has to go out by truck. It would seem like that they would have kept that line in.
You would think.
Yeah, in fact, this line goes by a couple of other Grundy Center and
Yeah,
a couple of other towns which have massive elevators.
Ron, that little vehicle the guy's sitting on in the front foreground, is
Yeah.
that a
Yeah.
track inspection vehicle? There seems to be ties or something to guide it over toward the main rail.
Well,
Yeah.
Ron, I'll tell you what I think it is. I think it's a kid sitting in a wagon, but I don't know. It
looks
looks like
like-
it looks like that's not on railroad there, because the railroad does not cross. You can see it does not cross.
mhm.
But what it was, it could have been some type of, a cart or something to haul heavy things out of the
Out of the freight cars.
freight cars. I can't determine what kind of freight cars these are over here. They look too short, not tall. They don't look tall enough for a refrigerator or a box car, but maybe they are. There's a ladder right here. It looks like there's a end door on it.
Yeah, an end door.
They have slats in them. I think it's
Stock car?
some sort of stock car.
Could be, yeah, it looks like the sides are slats.
I agree with you. Yeah. This is interesting, but I think that's hog wire is what I think it is.
Yeah, yeah. It looks like, yeah.
I think that small cart that the boy is sitting on was a trailer. Sometimes even hand cars would have a two-axle trailer behind them,
Yeah.
Those do look like railroad wheels, don't they?
because it's on beams of wood that seem to be set at standard gauge apart, like a
Yeah.
speeder set out.
Yes. And those look like wheels that were on those kind of vehicles. The
Yeah.
pull cart and things like that.
It looks like an interesting thing to model.
Yeah, you know what? I'll bet that's a coal shed.
Yeah, it probably is. There's another track over there, I think, in front of it, isn't there?
Right here.
Yeah,
The Rock Island was a single track line.
yeah.
How about that one? I don't know if I've been to that town or not. I don't know if there's a town there anymore.
I don't know where that's at.
It's in Tama County, I guess. I think so. Now Marengo is not on that same line,
No,
and maybe Eldora is the other one is neither. Marengo is on the main line that goes from Chicago to Omaha. Marengo actually isn't in Tama County either. So apparently I'm lying when I say this is all in Tama County. Just because there was one in Minnesota. Okay. I don't know what I'm talking about. There's another Marengo. Marengo has a historical society that was, at one time, we stopped in there picking up information on we were really looking for information on a story I was writing on the Milwaukee, the line that went from Ottumwa to Cedar Rapids. But I had to go to Marengo because that's where the Historical Society was at. And they had a lot of stuff there. And it was mostly paper clippings. A woman contacted me about a year later and said the woman who was doing all this died off, and did I want the newspaper clippings? She would box them up and send them to me. I said, I don't think I want them, so I guess they burned them. There's another picture of it. I don't think that is a regular brakeman. I think that's a kid up there on top of the car.
Pretty dressed up.
That's a pretty good picture, though, of what the
Yeah.
roof looked like.
Yep.
Yeah, Victor is down south on the main line of the. These are some Delano pictures. I assume that most of you have seen Delano pictures.
Ron, before you move on, can you go back to that picture?
Sure.
What do you suppose those compartments are on the left side of the depot?
Well, I have no idea. Anybody want to speculate?
They're poultry cages?
That's as good a guess as any, unless they raised other small animals in that area, like fox.
I would be more inclined to go with the poultry.
Well, it almost looks like those boxes or whatever has some kind of cover on the front, a wire covering.
If you look at this right here, it almost looks like it's just a layer of it, you know, just
Yeah,
not wide. It looks like it's just a shelf or whatever you want to call it on it through there. Yeah, I don't know what it is. Okay, some Delano ones. A woman cleaning a Northwestern engine. Proviso yard. That was back when smoke was okay. The engine house. I think these are all in Chicago. I don't know what Proviso looks like today because it's no longer a hump yard. Now, this is a passenger terminal yard, which was not in Proviso. That was a totally different operation. And you can see this is a really early Union Pacific, a local. That's probably what they call the E1. Somebody might be able to know that.
No, that's that's like the M3000 or something. It was specially built. It wasn't off the line like the E1 was. That might be an E2. That's the third one from the left.
Well, here's a pretty old one. Well,
That's the one that I think with the slatted pilot. I think that's a better bet.
yeah.
Yeah, that one on the far left, I think might have even, the train might have been one of those articulated trains.
This one.
Yeah.
That could be. It kind of looks like that's a one solid cab clear back to there. Okay, let's see. Who do I want? Let's see here. I got a question for. Yeah. What do you know about Fulton, Illinois?
Fulton?
Yeah,
Fulton?
yeah. What do you know about that area?
Not quite a bit. That's where they had, well, actually, it's East Clinton's where that large roundhouse was at. Main line used to actually go to the north of Fulton and then go through Fulton, through East Clinton, and then went over the bridge over to Clinton.
My uncle worked there and during World War I, my uncle worked there and in the roundhouse. He was a car man and probably worked the car part of it too. And right now, Bob Bender's been really searching the internet for information on Fulton. And, you know, I don't think it's ever been in the magazine. Have you ever seen it in the magazine?
There's not a lot been published. There's a couple of photos I've seen on the internet that show it. He might want to get a hold of the Fulton Historical Society. When I was doing research, apparently they have a tremendous amount of photos of the roundhouse when it was constructed.
It was huge. It was almost completely around.
And they had an 80-foot turntable in the center of it. It was two stalls short of being full circular.
Yeah.
And it's actually very similar to the one that was built in Chicago. They're built about the same time.
Can I ask a general question on that photo? Can you go back one?
On which one?
Just go back the one you just had.
I'll try.
There's looks like a freight car to the right of the locomotives. It looks like
Yeah.
a tar paper roof and no
Yeah.
roof walk. Is that indicative of any kind of car from the steam era?
I don't think that's a car. I don't see track under it.
Is that some kind of a storage shed then?
That would be my guess.
I thought it was a car too at first, but you're right, there's no track there.
Yeah, my guess
Yeah.
is it's a storage unit.
Or transfer, whatever?
I would suspect down there where the locomotives are, there would probably not a lot of transferring going on. So it probably more like a place for oil and stuff, you know, grease and so forth. I would guess that the coal chutes was back in here because of the empty coal hoppers. That's it, guys.
Entertaining.
Yeah, it was good.
Very nice, Ron.
Let's see. I got to get rid of this somehow. Nobody told me how to do that. I guess what you do is turn off your computer, guys.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
how about
usually
if
what I
how
do.
about that?
Yeah, that works.
All right. So,
That was good pictures.
all right. You know, these other guys didn't see what we originally put up there. So if we got 2 more minutes, why, oh my gosh, it's almost 8 o'clock, isn't it?
22, yeah.
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 You guys see that?
No, you're not sharing anymore.
I'm not
No.
sharing anymore. Ah. Mm. I'll show these real quick.
There it is.
I'm not going to bother to do full screen. This is just real quick here. This is what I'm working on right now. I didn't know. I thought these were all unknown, except that Bob figured out one already. I think that one is in Michigan. That's all there is. That's why I say it's quick. I'm done.
Okay.
Goodbye.
All right.
Thank you.
Whatever is coming up next week, I don't know.
Yeah, we don't know yet. It's going to be Thursday. We'll be back to our normal time. I'm looking at, that looks like it might be in Grand Rapids at Bilmar. I just Googled it, Mr. Turkey.
You know, Doug has so many pictures, and well, so is Dave. they could put one of these together just like that. I mean,
Yeah,
these are interested too, you know.
absolutely. Yeah, we'll be back at 6:30 Thursday next week. And so we'll see what we get in terms of volunteers to present
Okay. Yeah.
and go from there. But thanks everybody for coming. I'll get this recording up tomorrow. And if anybody's lonely on Thursday, they can just at 6:30, just put it on the video.
Yeah, yeah.
Thanks, Ron. Thanks, Greg.
Thanks, Ron. All right.
Bye,
we'll see you
Ron.
guys.
Good week.